did not participate in the final action of the referendum resolution, which I just think this
I've got it indicated that she was here online, but she's barred from that vote.
good, and it shouldn't be listed as abstain is what I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure we had, because
okay.
this vote is
There's
key. We don't want
probably
it to
some
be
other
inaccurate.
Roberty rules word for it, but I just am not aware. Thank you. Where are we? We are on the next item, which is item 11, the chiller, and that goes to Mrs. Roth.
Alrighty, included in the board packet was information from Creative Engineering regarding the bidding process for the junior senior high chiller project and the final recommendation for DA Dodd to be awarded the bid as the lowest and most responsive bidder of the 3 companies submitting bids. Also, please note DA Dodd was awarded the bid for the board for the chiller at Happy Hollow. Note acceptance of this base bid, its selected alternates, and the issuance of a letter of intent directing the contractor secure material, labor, and insurance, and pending the preparation of the final standard AIA contract is recommended for approval. You are asked to approve DA Dodd LLC for this project work based on the bid, and we will proceed with the contract process, which will be overseen by John Becker of Church, Hiddle, and Antrim at that point.
Okay, thank you. Having heard that, is there a motion, please?
Motion to approve proposal by school administration teams
Thank
regarding
you.
the replacement of chillers. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Is there a second? George, thank you. Any discussion? Awesome. I will go ahead and start the vote. Oh, shoot, you're right. Is she still there? Dr. Yin, are you here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you turn on your camera to vote, please?
Yes.
There you are. Thank you. We're voting whether or not to approve the chiller. A yes vote approves the chiller for the high school. What's your vote?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Daisha?
Thank you.
David?
Thank you.
Rachel?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
And George?
Yes.
And I am also yes, and that is 7. Thank you. All right, next item.
Allows us to proceed in a timely manner with the installation of the chiller. That is appreciated. The next item is not for vote, but it is for information, because we thought it would be relevant. Based on feedback from the WLCSC Insurance Committee, the district has notified Marathon Health that it will end its partnership with the clinic. The district will begin a new partnership with First Stop Health to provide virtual medical and mental health services to employees covered by the district insurance. Staff members and plan users involved in the insurance committee indicated their belief that this transition will result in both reduced cost, but it will also result in improved access to convenient virtual service options, which was something that previously staff members had expressed interest in. And at the request of the committee, information about this shift was already shared with staff. So we just wanted everybody to be on the same page, since Dr. Yin, I remember, was very interested in this. Marathon Health is a contract relationship that was entered into prior to during COVID with funds, and that was considered, but it reached a point where people really were more interested in something that could provide quick and easy access and expressed interest in virtual care. So ending one relationship and beginning another with the cost savings was of interest to everyone involved in the decision.
Great, thank you very much for that information. The next item on the agenda is lucky number 13, policy A301, wireless communication devices. We're going to move into the first reading and talk about any wordsmithing we'd like to consider for the policy itself. There are no votes, no motions. We're just going to give our ideas, and we may ask if they're lengthy that you email them. This is the policy itself. The guidelines will be a separate discussion, and Mr. Rogers has volunteered to come up and talk with us when we get to that part. So, Rachel.
I'd like to make just this observation that it'd be wise to not proceed with this as a first reading at this time. The IDOE has made it clear that they're going to be releasing both clarity on both the definitions used, as well as as their guidelines that they are putting out to help school corporations. And I just think it is perhaps not the most fruitful conversation to have until after those guidelines are shared with us. That's supposed to happen this coming Friday, the 12th.
I understand. And because of the pattern of our meetings, in order to get something in place before the start of school, we have to have somewhere to start.
You're already outside of that window, though. You won't have it in place. You won't have time for a second vote before the first day of school.
On July 20th?
If that's a consent agenda only, you're not going to have a vote on a policy. It's how it's listed on our schedule.
First reading,
If you do a first reading now, I mean, the way that it's scheduled right now is the first reading now. You have consent agenda only on July 20th. Your next meeting where you could have a second reading is on Monday, August the 10th. So yeah.
We could always, we could change the July meeting. I think that's an artifact from last year. And I don't know that.
I mean, I also just think that you can have a lot of conversation about tonight, which is great. But when you get to the second reading, you're talking about potentially a substantial revision, which is going to push you to a third reading, essentially. I mean, I'm all for the conversation. I'm just saying, everybody be aware the whole story could change on Friday again. So,
Good.
I mean,
Based on the law that was passed, we have a pretty fair idea of what it's going to look like. And there may be, call it this instead of that sort of changes, but I think this is a policy that the administration has looked at and our principals have looked at, and it's a good place to begin. So
just throwing it out there. I
Okay.
expect you're going to see something significant come out to explain it further, and I just don't want you to be surprised by it.
okay. Do you know what's coming from IDOE or from ISBA?
I have not seen the actual text yet. The kind of second in command at IDOE was at the ISBA board meeting and indicated that while it was not going to be a lengthy document, it was going to be substantive. But then I asked a couple of follow-up questions and he indicated, oh yeah, we haven't thought of that. So I would say that they're still writing it probably as we speak. Really, as he described it, it was almost more of a negotiation between different legislators and school leaders because there was just a lot of question and concern about it. Very few of the school boards, actually of all of the directors at that meeting, there were only 2 school corporations that had already passed a policy, and the rest of them are kind of waiting to see what happens. So we're not behind, if that helps you at all. But their intent in having these kind of negotiations with legislators right now is to hopefully avoid an edit to the legislation in the next session, so that schools, corporations can have a little stability with it. That is how he described it. So if
It's shocking that happened after they passed the law.
Yeah, I can only tell you what was discussed. but
Sure,
that
of
was
course.
really what the idea was. And so I mean, obviously, they're not going to give you language that is going to be contrary to the legislation, but I just expect that there will be more information.
Okay.
I would struggle, if you said to me, hey, vote on a phone policy, I would struggle to do that at this point in time without that information.
Right, and we're not voting.
Right.
To be clear, we're
We're a little bit talking theoretical right now.
it
all
is
I'm saying.
theoretical, and there have been a lot of emails with a lot of ideas. So I wanted to give us an opportunity to discuss that in person, in public, and also to raise any questions that we may want to particularly pay attention to in the guidance that comes through, and also to get us on track to be able to pass it. And I don't believe there's any reason why we have to have a consent agenda only meeting on July 20th, is there? We could certainly
We could add one.
add an
We
item.
could add one item to vote and then just advertise it as such. But we also, regardless, even if you're outside the window, it takes you to August as opposed to September if you determine that this is a first reading.
Right. So I'd like to go ahead and proceed if that's acceptable. Does anyone else have anything in particular on the policy itself that we need to discuss in public together? David, did you?
I had raised some questions by email, but I'm fine at us calling this the first read. And there are typically revisions that we make between first and second read. And I think we can make a judgment call if it requires a third reading, if it's substantially changed. My other worry is that this is a policy that a lot of families will likely want to have some input on, and the next month to 2 months maybe
An unideal time?
an ideal time to no fault of anybody in this room. And so that's why I do have some concerns. I do wonder, though, if it's something, if we're able to implement a policy, like maybe building level policy, to start the year with the plan to formalize it as the corporation policy in September. That way we can make sure that families have had the opportunity to provide feedback in August to September. That way we can refine it, but we could still implement the expected plan at the start of the year. It would also give some time, if during that first month, building administrators felt like there might need to be some tweaks, that could get changed prior to us formally approving it.
Well, and our policy could simply be West Lafayette schools will follow the law concerning cell phones, and then put it all in the administrative guidelines.
And the point is that our legal counsel is going to align with the law. So what you see is an alignment to the law, and it's very legal. And from there, we would go into the administrative guidelines. So if a definition were to change, then that definition would just be changed specifically legally to whatever the definition was changed to. So if you're comfortable with this particular policy currently, unless you learn something new, then, and it's a first reading, we're beginning to make families aware. And then I know that the board had various perspectives shared, and I've passed those along, particularly to the high school. So I passed those along to Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers had stated that he'd be happy to come up and talk back and forth with the board regarding perspectives, because the key here is going to be that, as Mrs. Witt had said, if there are specific guidelines that are helpful, or guidance, if there's specific guidance that's helpful, that's provided to the IDOE, that's what we've been waiting on. But at the same time, teachers have brought to the discussion table, where are we with this? Are we doing anything? And so if we continue this dialogue and we have a policy that's aligned to law, and that the community can see that there will be no cell phone use during the day, which is what the law says, then we've begun to have the conversation. So the first reading here, just at the level we're having, is appreciated. So thank you.
Lawrence?
Yeah, I think we can treat this as the first readings. At least we put this policy into the pipeline so people can seriously think about that. And when we have the guidance, we can just update that. So next month, I mean, if there are not big change, maybe we can do the second readings. So at least our school have the policy, specific policy for these issues, because a lot of people, this kind of significant change of the cell phone use in the school. So we want also parents to know that. And after I look at that policy, what we have right now is pretty general, and also, as you said, pretty legal. So I think it's pretty good school board policies at this point of time. So I think first reading maybe is a good starting point for that. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have anything to share with the rest of the class before we move on to the administrative guidelines and how those are expected to shape up? No? Okay, great. So we first reading, do we invite everyone who may be watching to share their thoughts with us via email, so we can take those into consideration as we move through the process. Mr. Rogers, would you like to come up and share with us how you expect this to, how well you expect this to work at the high school?
Thanks. I just want clarity real fast. So the policy is the policy,
Yep.
right? That's what you all do. And then the guidelines, whether, this is what we'll discuss now, is that right? The
Correct.
guideline? Okay. And then my understanding is kind of like what Dr. Pereira said, like, we see guidelines that aren't working. We're not changing policy. We can adjust those as administration. Done that before. I'd do it again if things are not working either for the detriment or maybe too strict. So we have no problem making adjustments if we need to, especially if we get some guidance from the state. So, okay, I'm up here.
So how do you expect this to work on a daily basis?
All right, so what we did was our guidelines and our expectations just simply follow the law. We didn't get into interpretations. Basically, and I said this in parent council for, I think you were there, right, Lawrence, right? I said, this has been a little frustrating. The law was passed, and it was like, no cell phones at all on property. Then they kind of walked that back. And then it was like, okay, no cell phones during the school day, they can't come in. And then they walked it back a little bit more, and then, all right, they can go to the lockers. So this has really been kind of changing as it's gone through, and now there's a debate between lockers and backpacks and all those kinds of things. And so for us, as we asked neighboring school systems and then schools within our conference, the lockers were pretty much a no-go. And that made sense to us as well. Our teachers would not like cell phones in their classroom, even though they're in a locker, backpacks were a no-go, and they would not like cell phones in the backpacks in the room. Most of our teachers prefer that anyway. They have like the red sign on their door. And so basically, we interpreted the law in the spirit of the law that this was locked away and put away. There were a couple schools that even looked at the lock boxes or the magnetic caddies, and I looked at those briefly, and just the magnetic caddies was somewhere in like $60,000. That was just for the pouches, not even the, I think it's like $200 for each deactivator. So that financial burden, I think, that was on family, or that were on schools, I think also kind of helped the state walk those back. So outside of that, then it would just be kind of your normal cell phone violations, first time and second time, and it just increases as we get up. At some point, and I had said again in parent council, we really wanted to resist suspensions. We just really feel like fights and cell phones are, pretty different. But at some point, that insubordination piece came in. Like, you know the rule, you understand the rule, and now you just keep sneaking around with the phone. And so at some point, I think we had like on the fourth one was when we would start to do like an in-school suspension for insubordination. We think our kids will learn this pretty quickly. This is a big adjustment for everybody. We've allowed them in hallways, we've allowed them in the lunchroom. That's also been kind of standard in most schools as well. And so this is going to be adjustment by all kids, all faculty members, parents, and everyone's chomping at the bit to know what we're doing. I think you said we're not late, and I think you're right according to what the state's done, but the faculty thinks we're late, the parents think we're late, and no one's upset. It's just, can you let us know? Can you let us know? Because we kind of don't check our email as much in June and July, rightfully so. So that's pretty much what I have for you so far.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rogers?
What I think you're going to find out is the advice is turned off in backpacks. That's what I think is going to come.
On that as well. If that becomes the guidance, then I can like look at my teacher that just said, I can look at our faculty and as administrators, we can say this was the guidance and this is what we're following, as opposed to going a step more strict. But without that being the guidance, we are trying to support them and how they're educating and how they're managing a classroom, and also supporting, again, the kind of the spirit of the rule, which was we don't want kids on cell phones and we don't want them easily accessible and that temptation there. And we tried to just be real consistent with what we read. Yeah.
So you've been using the term cell phone, but the actual law is broader than that to wireless communication devices, gaming devices, all of that. Includes watches, which makes sense. But it's not clear exactly how this covers things like the school-issued laptop on which you can play group multiplayer games at lunch, which I know that there are lots of students who do that in a very social way.
Yes.
But it's not clear how the law covers this, or how the guidelines cover it from the way that I read it.
Okay.
What is,
So the way we interpreted it is it didn't say school, given or any device that can connect to Wi-Fi, you're right, the smartwatches, the Meta glasses, which we had a few of those this year, or even our school-issued device, anything that can get on Wi-Fi that's not for instructional purposes or something like that. So we would interpret, and through the instructional day, so we interpreted that even our school-issued devices should be for instruction, not for gaming. Now, if you're asking me, Mr. Chad Rogers, do I think that those are bad things? No, we're just, as administrators, trying to interpret what we felt like the law was saying. So you bring up a good point, and again, these were discussions we even had as an administrative team. What's this look like? What's this look like during lunch? What do these things look like? And we just tried not to kind of dice up the law. We just tried to go with what it said. These things shouldn't be here, they shouldn't be connected, or because it even says you can have a cell phone if you're going to bring it into the classroom for an instructional purpose, right? And so we're saying none of these things we're going to say are being used for instruction unless for some reason we said this was appropriate. I don't know if that answered your question. That's
not
what we
completely, so the answer would be no.
No.
But does lunch count as instructional time?
So the school day.
Right, but does it count for their total instructional time for the year?
It's the school day period is the new law, school day.
Bell to bell.
It's changed, yeah, bell to bell.
So no lunch is an instructional time, like you said. So that's the way we interpreted it. Yeah.
We could go
Is
back
there
to
a
open
sense
campus.
of how many students already have electronic device in their IEPs, or how many of them would have to have an IEP revised? Because that's a lot of work at the start of the year for students who are struggling.
No, I wouldn't know that.
Okay.
The only thing I could give you would be the IEP conferences on end, and that's very rare, but I can't give you a number of how many people.
I think it's an important question to ask, because I think there are a lot of students probably with IEPs who do use their devices throughout the course of the day. This would prohibit it unless an IEP specifically said it, or it would prohibit it for a child with a medical need where it has not got a note from a doctor, as I read this. And that's a rough start to the school year for everybody all around. And after what special ed had to go through last year at the start of the year, I kind of hate to see them get another big bubble. So I just throw that out there. With whatever policy you end up with, that's something to consider.
Yes.
So clubs meet at lunch, right?
Not like
When-
maybe on club day.
Right. So they can't use, they can't use any devices during that time period, right? I assume that there's a gaming club of some form. Right, and so their club could no longer function because of the time that they're meeting. They wouldn't be allowed to,
We can check with legal counsel on something like that. Obviously, Dr. Cooper, I hear what you're saying.
The gaming club, that would be
Yeah.
part of their educational experience due to that club. I know.
okay, yeah, no, I think that these are just things that have to be thought through before.
I totally agree.
anything.
Everything
Yeah.
everybody's saying here, this is why Mr. Rogers really want to entertain it. Yes, we want to work with our special ed teachers and make sure that we understand we understand the IEPs and that they're carried out correctly. Yes, we want to make sure that if there's a club that really needs a specific device, that we're able to do that and not break the law. I think it's a great point. I have no doubt that we would research that when the time came.
These questions, like what you said, these are good. I don't see any time that we are going to make life more difficult for ourselves because of this. We're really trying to interpret what the law says, and then the common sense approach, just like what you're saying. Of course, if we have a gaming club, they'd be able to game. And of course, if they're needed in IEPs.
There's a new
Absolutely.
texting club, isn't there? Love that I made you laugh.
So,
Toastmaster.
I felt like with the questions, I thought this would be a good time to listen and see what everybody's thinking. Yeah.
Having met some of our legislators, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't see it as a problem that gaming clubs got banned. But is there a worry that if we proceed with a device ban, that any student that still has a device is automatically going to be flagged as either having a health issue or an IEP because they're the only ones who have them?
That's interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No comment?
That's a legitimate concern. It's identifying, and here's the other problem that I think is going to happen in the classrooms is, yes, if a student has it in their IEP, yes, they need it for that educational purpose, but it doesn't just work for that educational purpose, right? They've got it in the classroom, and the teacher has a completely different issue of classroom management because here's one kid or two kids who have it.
Let's
And-
remember that nobody in this room thought this was a good
No,
piece of legislation.
I'm not,
I just don't want poor Chad to feel
Chad,
bad.
this is not a pick on Chad
I
day.
don't take it that way.
I just want, my whole point of coming at this is, I understand, I fully support having policy that aligns with state law. That is not the question. I'm just concerned about the impact in the classroom. And everything sounds like a good idea. And I know that phones are tough for teachers in classrooms. I know that they are. I just don't know that this is going to fix it. It'll fix some things, but create other things. And that's my only question to you.
Well, we know that, and the point of it is that we have to follow the law. So when the board adopts the policy that's aligned to it, that's where then, and they've got a starting point per school, and all three administrators said, this isn't about an I gotcha. Like, no administrator wants a student to just have one more thing working against him. This is about what is the law. Legislators are watching. That's why it's gone from instructional to school day. They're watching, so we have to respect the law and respect what they put in place, and then respectfully develop something that's hearing voices. I want to commend you too, Mr. Rogers, because I've seen you speak with parent councils, the parent council, I believe more than once, haven't you? I thought so, and I was able to witness one, and the way that you've listened and kept your mind open is impressive. So, because this is important, and there's varying views on that among families too. So you've done a great job, and I want to commend you for that. And this is a tough situation, as every board member has shared with me in one way or another over the past few days. And I'm going to close my mouth so they can continue to dialogue with you. But my point to you is the board gets it in the way that you three talked during our administrative meeting. And together, we're going to get this figured out. But we recognize it's not something that anybody within West Lafayette schools came together and said, let's ban this and make something more difficult for families or children.
Yeah, you know we're not picking on you, right?
Oh, I totally do. I'm fine. This is important, and this is, again, one of these things, I don't know that any of us asked for it. It sounds really, really good in theory or when you read it, and then like I said, no phones at all in schools, and then that's slowly kind of changed, and that's what you all are asking me about as well. We made a draft based off of what we interpreted, what we thought it was or it is, and what are other neighboring schools doing. And if you're going to ask me, did we all like it? Did we debate pretty hard? I think some of the questions that you're saying, we debated. And at the end of the day, we tried not to, well this. We tried to just be consistent. And if the state comes out with some different guidelines, which would be great if they do in a timely fashion, then we can adjust from there.
Daisha?
I agree that hopefully the state's going to give us a little bit more guidance so that it's not us floundering, because whatever the law is, yes, everyone will just obey it. I appreciate this conversation because once we get that, it is going to be a very quick turnaround to what it looks like. And what I hear most from students and families is anxiety and stress. And what they're worried about is we're trying to take kids and put them back to a place and time period that doesn't exist anymore.
Good point.
They depend on their cell phones. As parents, we depend on our cell phones. And honestly, when we've dealt with some emergencies, the kids that didn't have cell phones and the parents that didn't have access to those kids, that was very emotional for them. We have a lot of kids in our high school right now that went through that. So for them to think, we are going to have a situation like that, you're going to make us exit the building. Am I going to sneak to my locker even though the administration's yelling at me, but I have to talk to my parent? Or are you going to put?
We don't yell.
Well, I'm just saying, so yell forward, but just when people are saying we got to get out of the school, this is serious, that's the yell level. These things, students have shared this with me. I mean, they were like, this policy is causing me anxiety. I don't want to go to school anymore because of that. And that's where I'm hoping once we get official guidance that we'll be aware of what this is doing to kids. And I'm hoping it will be clear like our policy, because to me, the policy is like powered off, stored away, inaccessible. Bottom of a backpack, very clear. Second the teacher sees it, it's gone. I mean, it feels like it's very clear. I feel like when I just don't want us to go stricter than we have to do because of the world we live in and what our kids have been trained to live, and they've been trained to be dependent on their devices and don't use it in the classroom, but they're like, I want to be able to have it. And like I said, is what I am hearing with students, and they're not students I work with in our schools, but outside of our school district and parents, is anxiety about those emergency situations is what I'm hearing. And so that's why the locker to me is taking a step too far. Unless we're told that's what the law says, then we no longer get a say.
I appreciate it, understand it. Yeah. We will. And again, I would bet on that the backpacks will be fine, and then we will handle that the best way we can in our school, and we'll go from there. I mean, the cell phones really, even though we don't like them as educators at times, they don't dominate our day. We do not have just 30 cell phones turned in every single day. Our kids do a good job with it. Overall, our teachers do a good job with it. And there's a whole lot of learning that goes on in schools. This is just, I think it's a good step to bring everybody back to the table and let's have a little bit of a reset. And that's what I heard you saying a little bit, just not a whole lot. That's what I heard you say. Makes sense.
Yeah, Daisha, I'd like to say I agree with you 100%. I think the anxiety of children today cannot be understood by people who didn't grow up in this time period, and that's our legislature. The kids who were in kindergarten and first grade when Sandy Hook happened are sophomores and juniors in college right now. And they spent their entire school career in fear of school shootings. And those goodbye messages to mom and dad that we've all read in the news are real, and that's their lived experience. And for us to take that away, or to be forced by, let's be clear, to be forced by the state to take that away from our kids is, in my opinion, horrendous. So I just wanted to echo what you said. George, you had something.
Yeah, to turn the conversation around, just to give us all something to think about. I've heard exactly what you all have heard about that, but I've also heard from a small group, a group of parents who are actually really looking forward to this and really looking forward to their kids not having access to mobile devices or any other kids. And their main concern is digital bullying.
Which is also real. Yeah.
I've heard from those parents as well. So yes, it's there. It's just like anything else. We can't make everybody happy. And the bullying is a frustration. I can hear that. That's one of those things that we will handle as it shows up, and we will try to educate and be proactive as much as we can. But that's, unfortunately, that digital piece is here to stay as well, unfortunately. And it's just, we try to educate and work from there. Yes.
So I do have one question. I'm assuming it's in your guidelines, but when a phone is confiscated, is the child able to pick it up or a parent?
Child. And then I honestly, I can't remember. I'd have to see the draft.
I think it was the fourth.
Child.
And then after that,
I might say to you that you putting it in the parent's hands a little bit. If it's a parent who said, hey, you broke the rule, I don't want you to have your phone anyway, I'll go get it next week. That fits, but if you have a parent who's like, oh my gosh, hey, do better, I'm gonna go get your phone today, but a parent needing to come into the school changes the conversation a little bit. So I just want to throw that out there to you as an
I
idea,
appreciate that.
as parental control.
We try to be equitable, and that's the other piece to it.
Yeah,
That
not all
everybody
parents can
has
come.
that. But, right, but to your point, I've had those conversations when parents need to pick up. It's like, well, you know what? I will wait a week. We're going into the weekend, and Chad can just wait on his phone. So I've had those supportive parents as well.
I think I heard the tone that indicates that Yui wants to say something. Is that correct? Dr. Yin?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind. That could be. Okay, good dialogue. Does anyone else have anything before we let Mr. Rogers sit back down? David, go
I'll
ahead.
go with one more thing. I do fully agree with what Daisha and Amy had said about backpacks versus lockers. I think the locker issue will also add especially early in the year, a fairly decent number of kids who are coming back to school after hours because they've forgotten it in the locker. There may be times where the school is not accessible versus other times, and I think it's going to add complexity where we don't need complexity. And I think you can't always go more strict. You could go both ways, where you start with the stricter and then ease up, or or start with the strict letter of the law and then get stricter if it's become more of a problem. I think either direction could work, but from my perspective, I think if it's working with just meeting what the law is saying, I think that's probably the ideal way to go.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. We were thrilled that lockers could even work based off of where they started. So again, if the guidelines become very clear to us, then I know we can revisit, and we're not looking to be more strict than what the guidelines say. So.
And it may be that at the elementary and the middle school that lockers or cubbies work great, and at the high school we have to adjust because they're a different population and different age and don't know their locker combinations. So
They will.
They will.
We all did back in the day.
I still remember mine. Yep. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you all for the dialogue. I felt like that was very productive and was exactly what I had envisioned. So
Didn't have a locker in high school.
what? You didn't have a locker?
I went to Tech.
Oh.
So 17 buildings, there's nowhere to put them.
There you go. That makes sense. All right. Last up is our reports. Dr. Greiner, you go first.
Thank you, Mrs. Austin. For my report this evening, I'd like to extend my thanks to several groups. I'm going to start with our high school administration, faculty, and staff for another outstanding graduation ceremony. It was a wonderful celebration of our seniors and their accomplishments. I'd also like to thank our board members who were able to attend graduation, as well as those who were unable to attend. We appreciate your support of our students, and if you were unable to attend, we know that you were celebrating this important milestone in spirit because you reached out and told us that, so thank you. Finally, I want to thank the members of the Sounding Board Committee that met several times for their participation in recent discussions regarding the district's finances and potential referendum planning. Their thoughtful questions and valuable feedback will help shape our communication efforts moving forward. We appreciate their engagement and hope that those who are interested will continue working with us through participation, perhaps through the PAC, as we move ahead. And that concludes my report. Mrs. Roth, would you please report out on accounts payable and fund reports?
Certainly. Claims for the period of May 5th through June 3rd, 2026 total $4,578,215.13. This amount does include both corporation and Wabash Valley Educational Center expenses. Salaries and benefits for the same period totaled $3,470,663.42. A final fund report is included in the board packets for the month of April 2026. Total funds on hand amounted to $25,941,168.79, with the education fund balance of $8,440,194.86. As usual, a preliminary fund report for May is included in the board packet, but please note the month has yet to be completed and reconciled. I will share there was a question about fund balances that might be in the negative. I want to share that for federal or state grants, those funds do run in the negative because we have to first expend the money out of our own funds and then request a reimbursement. So we make reimbursements on a regular schedule.
Great, thank you. As far as my report, the Redevelopment Commission met in May. The Public Safety Center is coming right along. The crane has come down, I believe. I haven't verified that with my own eyeballs, but that's what they said. They are in the design documentation phase for expanding Fire Station 3. The Early Childhood Education Center, they have some listening sessions coming up on June 17th and September 2nd. It is their goal to include 24-hour childcare, which is something that this area lacks, and which will become more necessary as SK Hynix and the hospitals are operational. The Lummel Park restroom is almost done, and the completion date is targeted for June 30th, and they're moving forward with 425, the new road that will be going just north of here. And unfortunately, due to a family emergency, I was unable to attend discussion. So, George, do you have a report?
Nothing to report as far as legislative activity, but I will have a lot more once I return from the ISBA School Law Seminar. I'm headed to that tomorrow. I'm also now on the ISBA's Legislative Committee, and so the legislative priorities will get released once that committee is met.
That's terrific. I think you're going to really enjoy that process and be really helpful. Lawrence, what you got?
For the Public School Foundation,
Oh, yes, microphone, please.
For the Public School Foundation for Tippecanoe County, I have been in their last meeting. It's online meeting. It's pretty much just a regular day-to-day business. There's nothing really unusual. So just regular short meeting, online meeting. And for West Lafayette School Education Foundation, I joined their, attended their award ceremonies for this year's scholarship. So totally, we have 42 scholarship awarded, and totally we have 38 recipients. And also total amount awarding scholarship amount is 57,000. So it's very nice award ceremonies. We can see the student and sponsors. They can meet each other, mingle each other. So that's very nice ceremony. And our foundation did really good work in terms of connection with the student and our school supporters. So that's really nice. And also there's some other, you want to report that, Rachel, regarding the Education Foundation?
From Foundation?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel?
The foundation was featured nonprofit of the game at Lafayette Aviators on Friday night, and ninth grader Joseph Purpura threw out the first pitch, which was, I heard, lovely, and they won the game. In July, the Alumni Association will host a class of 86 for a reunion tour, and the foundation will once again assist with collecting school supplies and students for preparation and back to school. There will be more information coming out in July, but if anyone has any interest in contributing to that, I know that they would be very grateful for contributions. And also, this is likely my last meeting. This is my formal notification of my resignation for the board, effective July 31st of 2026, because I will no longer reside in the school corporation boundaries after that date. So briefly, I just want to say that in my time, about 12 years, I've been through 2 referendums, and tonight the start of a third referendum, built a new school, 2 major renovations in schools, hundreds of legislation changes on education matters, 2 full revisions of policy, 2 new principals, 1 new superintendent. In fact, no member of the central administration remains from when I began in our board, and a pandemic. So I just want to say I am really proud. I'm very honored to have been a part of this board for this long. I am very grateful to voters for electing me 3 times. And it has really been an honor and a privilege to serve. When I came on the board, I really didn't know, well, anything. It was a real learning curve. And I got to serve along some greats like Alan Karpick and Karen Springer and Brad Marley and some other wonderful former members of the board. And I would like to thank Amy, George, and Lawrence for their leadership. This has not been an easy time to be part of the board, and I really appreciate that from you. As well as David and Yue. They continue to show sincere attention and care to whatever is best for students, and I really appreciate that. And really, that is what I would end on, is I would hope, and I've seen this board over more than a decade, keep students at its focus, and I know that that's going to continue, especially under our fantastic current administration. And thank you, Dr. Greiner and I have been through some fires together, so I don't know, we're trauma bonded now, we'll just have to be friends or something, but I really just appreciate my time on the board. I'm very grateful for it. So thank you. It is an ending of an era for me, and it's all good.
We appreciate your service, so thank you.
Well, if there is a consent agenda only item, I will not charge the school corporation $100 to attend that meeting, so I will not come for that. That's a silly thing for me to show up for. So, but if there is a matter that requires a vote prior to that, of course I'll be engaged. I will be engaged to the end, but hopefully my giving you a little bit of advance notice gives you more time to find the right person to fill the spot. So.
Thank you. That it does, because it is summer and the 30-day clock will start on the 31st, which is your last official day. So what we will do is accept resumes from the public if there's someone who's interested in filling your shoes for the next.
It's not very many months. My term is up in December, at the end of December.
Right, so it'd be 5 months. So let me look at the calendar here so I make sure I get it right. We'll take resumes through the end of July and, I'm sorry, end of June. And then hopefully we will be able to complete the process and vote on someone at that July 20th meeting. That's my intention. But if not, we do have plenty of time to bring someone forward at the August meeting. So if anyone out there is interested in joining us for a short time, send your resume to the whole board as quickly as possible. And we will miss you. David? Lawrence, go ahead.
Can I share a little bit regarding
Uh-oh.
the way the going to
Oh, we're doing a roast. Okay.
Yeah, just a short. I mean, I really appreciate, and actually, we have worked together as board member colleagues for I think 3.5 years, and it's really my honor to work with Ms. Wei. That's especially she has been in the leadership team in the leadership. So for our school board, I think she showed her leadership, patience, and also hardworking. Also, yes, to us, and also during the last couple of years, we worked together many hours about the policies. So her expertise in the old policy as also as the new policy, and also understand the school business. That's that's treasure of our school board. So I really appreciate that. So I just really appreciate that we can work together, and I just appreciate the time together, and really appreciate that. And I hope you can start a kind of new chapters. And I mean, after these things, I truly appreciate it.
So the new chapter will not involve policy.
On any level.
There will be no policy in the new chapter.
Thank you, Lawrence. That was very sweet. David, go ahead.
You're always welcome to join the meetings in person or online for fun. Parks and Rec did not meet last month because we didn't have a quorum that could meet in person. There wasn't a lot on the agenda anyway. We do have a vacancy on Parks and Rec. It has not formally been filled yet. There have been some names that have been given to the Parks and Rec superintendent. So if anybody does have any other recommendations, please let me know as soon as possible and I can share those. And then I do want to clarify something that Amy said about the Early Childhood Education Center.
Oh, thank you.
24-hour care is not individual children 24-hour care. Like, you can't drop your kids off, pick them up the next day. It's multi-shift care, so there'll be some space for second, third. The plan is to have some space for second and third shift workers.
That's an important distinction, yeah. Please don't leave your children for a full
Kids go down
24
to
hours.
Indy for a show and everything, but yeah, but I do also want to highly encourage people to go to the listening sessions. They are taking seriously the feedback and input from the community, and it's really important and something that we desperately need more of in the community.
Thank you. That's an important correction. Tasha, go ahead. Okay, thank you. And was there a glass meeting? No. I don't think there was, yeah. And Dr. Yeah, glass is finished. So, Dr. Yin, if you can hear me and you have anything, let me know real quick. I feel like I'm having a seance. Oh, there she is. Hi. Do you have a report of anything that you'd like to share?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Do you have a report? Glass
No, I don't
didn't
have
meet.
any.
Okay,
Glass was dissolved.
right. Let me know when you get back to town and we'll have a conversation about your new assignment, okay? Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Safe travels to you. Our next meeting will be on July 20th. Yeah, why does it say Tuesday, June 30th? If needed, okay. And we do not, at this time, anticipate the need, right? So we will be July 20th at 5 PM here. The early hour is on purpose to get people back to their vacations. And the work session and the next regular meeting will then recommence on August 10th. Having said all of that, I need a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn,
Thank
please.
you, Rachel.
Second.
And everybody seconds, all right. Well, should we do the voice vote? Yue, do you want to adjourn? I'm going to take that as yes. Stacia? David?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
George? Yes. And I'm a yes. Thank you very much. Oh, there she is. Give me a thumbs up to adjourn. We're adjourning. Thank you.